Okay, so today I'm going to be watching Season 1, Episode 10 of The Sopranos, and we're coming off the weakest episode in the series so far, Episode 9, which was about very uninteresting subjects and not even handled all that well within them, like, Tony finds out and about Junior going down on his little mistress there, and she mounts off to the nail salon, and whatever, like all that kind of stuff. So yes, I get it, like that he has to save face because he's the boss now, or just in general, even before he was the boss, you would think he wouldn't want people talking about stuff like that, but is that really an interesting plot line? Is this really something we have to focus on? It's okay as a little thing in passing. It's kind of like their little shine box moment. Like, it's a creative way to come up with that. Well, it would be the sort of thing you could insult a mobster about that he might, kill you over, like, go get your shine box that Billy Bat says to Joe Pesci. So it's the same thing here, where you're basically able to do it in such a way that, he says that, and, Tony's kind of beating like a dead horse on the golf course, saying it over and over, talking about he's in the muff and talking about all this kind of stuff. Like, he's laying it on so thick and making it so obvious. And Carmela says something at the dinner table, that's not what I hear, and all this kind of stuff. There's all this gossip. So, like, I get it as a basic plotline, but that had too much presence in the episode. Like, they waste so much time, right? Him spending time with the girl. Like, the main point is the indictments. Okay, I'm going to Boca to get away from the indictments. That's fine, but then they really beat it like a dead horse way too much. And again, I even like Junior as a character, but like, and you might think, oh, that should be a -1 for him for being so vain, but you don't need to be gossiping. So usually when Junior does something, he's in the right. Like, I'm not saying that whether he should, like, I don't know, you going down on the girl, what happens in your private bedroom, doesn't matter. You could be the big time CEO at a company and you could still want to get whipped by your wife when you go home. Like, that's just a role play fantasy that you have that balances out. You're telling everybody what to do. Man, everything's falling over today. You're telling your wife what to do, or you're telling everybody what to do at work. You're the boss, so now you want the power exchange at home where you want to be the one being the submissive, or at least in that sexual context. It's just a fantasy, it's just a fetish. There's a lot of extrapolation with that, especially at this point, where you're able to, you're able to look at it in the perspective of, it could mean you're gay, or it could mean all these kind of other things that are not really true of doing something in a consensual private relationship. It's like getting pegged by your girlfriend or wife or something. It's like, oh, that must mean you're gay. But no, you want your girlfriend to do it. You don't want a guy to do it, right? That's the difference. Like, if you want, like, I don't know, going down on a woman is going down on a woman, not going down on a man. Like, if you were gay, you know what I mean? I can see how maybe that could be a way that somebody segues into it, but in general, you're looking at it from a perspective that it's not as big of a deal as they're making it out to be, but even then, it's like, it's the girl's fault for mouthing off to the nail salon and all this kind of stuff. And so now it becomes relevant because he's the boss now, I suppose, and then Tony's being a bit peevish about it. So I think Tony got like a -0.5 point for that, for beating that so much down, but he also gets a -0.5 point for the way he handles the soccer situation, with how emotionally weak he is, and he's celebrating that he didn't kill the guy. And he's also, that whole plotline wasn't particularly interesting. The girl's cutting herself. She's being cheated on, or whatever. She had sex with the guy, and that with the coach. And Tony misreads that situation and thinks, oh, I'm going to force him to stay here because that's what they're sad about. But it's actually the fact that he slept with her. So, but both of those were not warranting a -1, but combined, I guess they do. So I'm introducing like the half-point system here, which I almost gave Tony a +0.5 point for the other thing, for getting the mother out of that room, but then he put the guns there, so that kind of equals itself out. So he's -3 now. Junior is +3. Chris is still -1 for his clown behavior, and the wife, Carmela, is still -1 in general. What else? What other notable characters of interest really are there? Those are the main ones. And so the therapist, I guess, is kind of +1, even though she probably should have gotten rid of Tony a long time before. And so now we're in a position of, we've had a couple weak episodes, and honestly, I would have stopped watching on my own if I was, but I guess I'm sure it'll get better, or I'm sure It's just more so that failed on 2 levels, right? That was like an F episode, honestly, F- episode. That's about as bad as it can be. You're dealing with uninteresting subject matter. You're dealing with it too much, too often, and you're also not having any other plot line. Like, okay, Junior's going to Boca to evade the indictments, but then what? Like, you know what I mean? It's about gossip, and it's about, like, those can be in the background, but what was the foreground? Like, what was really the point of this episode? Tony's dealing with the soccer coach, that was the foreground. The background, like, there was no real one storyline of interest. Coming off a great episode in episode 5, it's kind of tanked since then. Episode 6 was a C, episode 6, 7, 8 were all C's. Episode 9 is going to be an F. And so it could have almost been a condition that, if there's an F, I'll just stop watching, but obviously I didn't make that happen. I did say if Tony gets to a -10 on his character point system, then I'll stop watching, but I think that's unlikely to happen. Because whenever he does something bad, he still redeems himself a little bit and does something good. But the thing, like, even, again, why are you antagonizing Junior? Like, what is the thing? He wasn't antagonizing you about about your therapy, even though he knew about that, and he obviously neither of them knew, but they both have something up their sleeve. But he was holding that in his back pocket for a later time, right? Or maybe he wasn't even going to hold it against him too much, but instead Tony's picking on him peevishly about the little. There's a lot of things characters say in passing too, like Junior basically confirms that he knows about the therapy, but he says it sort of indirectly, right? And then they just let it go. So there's a lot of those. They'll say something that pisses you off, and then they'll come back later and and whack you. It's like you'll never see it coming, or it'll be something simple said in passing. They could either indicate the intent to hit, or it could indicate, or it could be the reason why they're upset at you in the first place, and how it leads to that. But the smallest, simplest conversations, this is the innuendo of the gangster world that can sometimes be interesting. The most simple conversations can have so much depth and weight to them when it's a mobster saying it, and Junior exemplifies that a lot with the way he talks to the mother, and he kind of extrapolates on what she says and things like that. And so what we have here is the ability to look at each of these episodes. Episode 5 was strong because of the conflict it had going on with an actual smart, capable gangster in terms of the guy who's killed 12 people, right? That was at least a good plot line that it had going, even though the way they finished it wasn't that good. And it's been all downhill from there, where it should have been Chris coming to save him at the last second and saving Tony, right? And then the other point is that you have college going on there, taking his daughter to college. But that's okay because it doesn't matter in terms of, this is like the overbearing father, but in an extreme way where he's going to kill somebody or do something like that he has the right intention, but he's doing it the wrong way, where it's like, he's just trying to help, but he's the overbearing dad who you don't want to help because it embarrasses you. But in this case, it's to an extreme where it's going to actually end up killing the guy or something like that. And then beyond that, you have a situation where, although I really didn't suspect that of the coach, I must say that was the real issue, that he had slept with the girl. I would have never imagined that in a million years. I was actually kind of standing up for him, saying, "Oh, look at him, standing up to these mobsters and doing all this kind of stuff." So a couple of people, that soccer coach and also the guy in episode 3, have stood up to the mob in a way that makes them look kind of shitty, like the way that they're trying to get the guy to get a divorce or whatever, right? And then he's refusing to do it against their torture and all this, so it doesn't make them seem that tough if they can't even deal with people like this. You can't even persuade a soccer coach, or you can't even though that ended up not being what they wanted to do, right, that there was actually more to the story than that. The fact of the matter is that the fact that you couldn't do that was actually kind of bad, right? That you couldn't get the soccer coach to stay even if you wanted to. Right, like you're these big bad mobsters, but it fails on 2 levels. Not only can you not get him to do what you want, and he's just a mere soccer coach, but also the fact that you're even trying to do that and wasting your resources to do that for personal reasons, right? This is not business, it's personal. You're trying to do it because of your daughter and her daughter's friend. You're spreading yourself thin and wasting your resources. But these are things that I would always hold against Tony. So these contribute to the -1s that we get over time. And so what else do we have? So episode 6 was... episode 5 had that great contrast, right, where there's something actually interesting happening with the mob versus just the college and the humor and stuff like that. The problem is now episode 6 was what? They're kind of milking Junior and focusing on Junior too much, but there was no real plot line to be had. He's just becoming the boss, they're kind of showing stuff to do with him, but there wasn't like a really strong narrative going on. What even was the narrative? I can't even remember. There like wasn't one. It was just showing a bunch of stuff to do with Junior, how somebody's kid got killed, right? Pushed off into the falls or something, like into the waterfall. How the kid's head got crushed against the rock, all that kind of stuff. But what was really the overall plot line? It couldn't just be, oh, that I forgot. Like, there wasn't really something major going on. He taxes Hesh, so it's just like him adjusting to the boss lifestyle and taking some of Tony's advice. There was a nice scene at the end with the ball game where he's talking about Caesar, and that was kind of funny. But there wasn't anything with respect to... I don't know, there was no good overarching plotline, so that was just missing something. So that was like a solid C. Then episode 7 was, they kind of rely on the flashbacks a little bit, so that always is a little redeeming, so that's like a C, C plus also, but there still wasn't a whole lot of depth to that episode. And then episode 8 is where the indictments come into play, so that could have been interesting, but then they don't really handle it super well. Tony just does some spring cleaning and stuff like that, and Chris is clowning up like crazy, so that was also a C. We're just getting into too much minutia with Chris that's not really interesting, or it's not really making him look really good as a character. At least he got a definite -1 for that. And so now you end up in episode 9, where you have a soccer kind of filler arc story that nobody cares about with the stupid soccer coach. And it's one thing to have it in the background, but they made that a big deal. Like, that was the biggest point of the episode. Right, so having these kind of in the background is one thing, but these are kind of uninteresting subject matters. Like episode 6, they didn't even have a subject matter. Episode 7, they had the flashbacks, like, which are okay, and like the boy finding out that he's in the, finding out that Tony's in the mob, his son, right? That's kind of the plot line. Okay, that's fine. Then episode 8, you have the indictments, which could have been good, but then Chris is not really his storyline. He's shooting a guy in the foot, getting his revenge as the Spider. When he got shot in the foot, kind of is how people would take that. But again, nothing is really happening of substance outside of that. And then episode 9, you're dealing with the fact that, Junior's going down on a girl and there's gossip. And you're dealing with the fact that you're dealing with a soccer coach. So these almost feel like filler plot lines. So you combine 2 filler plot lines into one in the same episode. So that to me is an F. The other ones at least had 1 filler plot line and maybe something else of substance or something like that. Like episode 4 had the college, but then it also had the very interesting element with the mafioso guy, so that's at least good. And so episode 9 fails so badly because of the simple fact that it has 2 plot lines that are like that. Again, who cares about Junior's sex life? Who cares about the gossip? Who cares about, even if there are some funny moments, I'm sure people would find that golf scene funny, and they would find, maybe some of the gossip and other subject matter interesting, but in and of itself, that's not a very good plot line. And then, again, to have just in the background, but that was one of the major points, right? That whole thing, him going to Boca, dealing with the girl, dealing with the gossip, dealing with Tony about it, and then finally, he makes a big revelation and says, I might clip Tony, actually. So that was kind of a big deal that he would say that, where, over something like that, just picking on him about this whole thing, and the fact that he's going to therapy and potentially ratting them out and everything like that. And then the other point is, and he was even being pissed at his second little assistant there, Junior, in like the locker room. No, you didn't know until I told you. But, he was on the right track, at least, though. He thought he was ratting them out to the police, but actually he's ratting them out actually to a therapist, because he is actually talking about that there. Right, in no uncertain terms. Like, that therapist 100% knows things. He hasn't tried to disguise it in innuendo, so even if you give Tony the benefit of the doubt that, he wouldn't do that, he kind of is doing it, because he's just that stupid. Not even, you can't use, analogy and stuff like that. And the therapist always says that, it's my job to inform law enforcement, but he's already told you a number of things, right? Maybe most of them are in the past and stuff that's already happened, but he's not trying to talk around it. He's being a total clown with her. So I don't even feel bad for him. If he gets caught because of that, or some inconvenience because of that, why are you even talking to a therapist? And why are you even talking in so much detail? And why are you not disguising what you're saying, as he was kind of doing that at the beginning, but then he just gave up because either the therapist is too smart or, let's not dance around it, like waste management consultant, blah, blah, blah. So partly that was her being perceptive, but like everybody knows, I mean, you're seeing their names on the news, right? Oh, Junior Soprano, Junior Corrado. I don't know why they keep, I don't know what all these names are. Like, he has 3 names, Junior Soprano Corrado. Like, one of them is his middle name, or I don't know how he is Junior Soprano, as they've called him, so I don't know what Corrado actually is, that the girl keeps calling him. But it's basically a case where you are in a position where that was not a very good episode because, again, you're combining 2 plot lines that would be sort of filler plot lines that should only be in the background, but the fact that they're both combined and the fact that they're both more substantial than just being in the background, I think is a major failing. And so now you have a position where you can definitely consider that to be a bad episode. Just F-, terrible. Again, we don't care about the sex life. We don't care about the soccer coach this much. Even though they try to make it a little more dramatically complex, it's still like, it's too much emphasis. Like, who cares about this? Like, we want to hear more about the indictments, what's happening actually in the mob. I guess it's because this is like the mob's downtime. Like, oh, since they're laying low because of the indictments, they don't want to stand out. It's focusing less on that. But then again, it's not, because he's going to kill some random soccer teacher while you're already worried about indictments. Isn't that the sort of thing you should avoid doing? Like, you shouldn't be doing even business as usual, but not only are you not doing business as usual, right, you're going to go out of your way and do something that you shouldn't normally do anyway and kill a soccer coach? Like, of all the times you could potentially do this, this is the number one time where you shouldn't do that. And Chris just appears in like a clown moment where you're basically able to, Chris appears in like a clown moment where he just takes the dog and does something there, where it's not like, that's it. No, Chris only appeared like once in the episode, and he's just, here's your dog, and here's it back, like, what the fuck? That's kind of really doing Chris dirty, right? That's really dogging on Chris. I don't think you see him like at all for the rest of the episode, really, right? And that's the only screen time that he has, is just clowning up with the thing, and you see him like counting the money at the end there. So we normally don't see the best side of Chris. We always see him when he's doing something bad, or when he's mad, or when he's like kind of being like Santino from The Godfather, or somebody like that, like a hothead. But he must be doing good things behind the scenes to justify his respect. Okay, so here we're going to start in a second, but just like to think about, so I'll go into this one with a totally positive attitude, right? I'm not going to hold it against this. Every episode is its own individual entity, right? So I'm certainly not going to go in with that. But I will actually add another new condition. If we get 3 F grades for the whole series at any point, then we'll actually stop watching. So that'll be a new one, which I think is very unlikely to happen. And we also still haven't gotten an A even one time yet, right? We haven't gotten a single A episode, but at least I said how it could have been possible for an A to happen. Episode 5, if it had ended with Chris saving Tony in the game theory way that I was talking about, like how they had set up with the phone calls, that he might come against Tony's orders and then he saves him from the guy who's about to kill him, instead of Tony just sneaking up on the guy totally randomly and just getting him. Right, it doesn't feel like he really earned that. If Tony had done that, or if that had happened, that would have been the proper game theory ending, and so that episode 5 would have been an A, but it wasn't. Yeah, if we get 3 Fs, or if Tony gets to a -10, right, which I think both are very unlikely to happen, those can be the 2 failure states for how we'd actually stop watching. But again, an F is very rare, an A is very rare, so we got an F before an A at least. There's been a lot of Bs. In fact, I can't really remember it. I think maybe episode 1, 2, and 4... 1, 2, 4, and 5, I think, were all Bs. Then 3, 6, 7, 8 were all Cs, right? If I don't worry about the plus or the minus, just the letter grade. So most of them have been Bs, I'm pretty sure. Right, I think the worst episode was episode 3 up until we got on this bad streak of all these. And then obviously 9 was an F, the first F. So, but no, I think people would agree with me on that one, on 9. That didn't it feel like some kind of filler episode? Like it's just a bunch of filler throwaway plot lines that they're kind of beating over and over and just overdoing it, right? That they're just pushing it too far with both the soccer thing and the stupid ass Junior and his sex life and stuff like that. So here you have one problem that's being posed already, is that the titles and sometimes the little images on the front kind of give something away. Like episode 4, it showed like Tony and Junior having a nice conversation, which maybe gave away what would happen at the end, because they were pretty much adversarial at the beginning. Like, if you come in, come heavy, right? They were kind of having a bad relationship. So maybe that little thumbnail would indicate, that thumbnail might indicate that, oh, they're going to reconcile or something like that. So you're getting spoiled by both thumbnails and titles, potentially. So this title is a hit, which I almost try not to look at those, but now that means a hit's going to happen in this episode, and you might think, oh, that's pretty normal, but so far in the series, it actually hasn't been normal. So we're going to start in 3, 2, 1, unless there's some kind of ad, but we get the little HBO logo there. Well, let's see what actually happens, if this can redeem the last one. Already off to a bad start, because it's starting with a song. I always like it when there's a scene before, which normally there hasn't been, right? Only like episode 2 has that, where they have like a little talk over the TV looking at like some mafia reporting. We have the indictments going on. We still have that Christopher giving drugs thing not being addressed. We have the fact that Junior kind of let slip to Tony that, oh, I know about your thing. Sometimes these conflicts aren't followed up on, though. Like, Chris and them had a big fight in episode 4, right, where Jackie dies, and Chris and him have a big fight, and then in episode 5, it's just not addressed. Like, Chris wants to come over, right, that's where he was yelling at Tony right when Jackie died, and he was really upset. And so he says, you know, they just let that go. Episode 5, everything's back to normal. But it might be the same thing here with the insult to Junior about the going down on the girl, the gossip, right? They might just forget about it. But Junior did make a comment in passing that, oh, I might clip the guy. That's the first time Junior's really said that since, like, episode 1, where it's like, oh, maybe I should take a bigger piece, and maybe I should, maybe something should be done about Tony, kind of. But then the mother just looks in disgust and doesn't say anything. Oh, what was the point? They always set it up like they're gonna let you go, and then they don't. Give you false hope. This is like when they found that one apartment in Africa with like billions of dollars in it or something. He didn't even recommend her. He just recommended. He already knows Cusimano because he was sort of tipped the other therapist off. This is them speaking in code. Exchanging privileges and things like that. But I think they all kind of know and suspect. Like, both doctors kind of know what he's up to. But no, he gave him a choice between like 3, and he chose Melfi, so It's not even like he recommended her specifically. Yeah, see, now nobody's holding it against Chris what he did. Everybody just forgets everything. Yeah, he'll take care of everything. But she's got a nice big house and everything. Don't shoot the guy in the foot, though. You'll end up... You know, he can't go to a restaurant in peace. This is Christopher's one weakness. He shoots the guy in the bakery. He's having mouthing off here. Yeah, and he's openly talking about it, too, with his girlfriend. This is one form of insider trading, but they're just kind of celebrating that something went well. Now he'll ruin it by doing this. This could be a -1 for Chris. Bad judgment. Yeah, that's like a recurring trope. Chris can't go anywhere without causing a fucking scene. Right? He's the obligatory hothead, sunny, Joe Pesci type character. Which they're laying on a bit thick, maybe. But no, like, everything gets forgotten. They have the fight in episode 4, Tony and Chris. Then they forget about it. Episode 5, they don't even mention it. Then they have the fight again over the shooting the guy in the foot. Now everything's back to normal. Let's see if... see if the junior conflict carries over, which it might, because he's now they'll play some sort of innuendo game and accidentally shoot somebody. Yeah, it wasn't that good. No, it was originally meant to be Tom Hagen being the villain, but he wanted too much money, so they delayed it by 15 years. See, those movies give you a good name, unlike what the therapist family was saying that it gives us a bad name, all these mob movies. Now, Tony loves Hesh, so don't mess with him too much. He repeats himself when he's mad. Enjoy the food and any other enjoyments. Enjoy the enjoyments. You're too young to be an OG. He's always jealous, got an inferiority complex. This would be a good scene to cut out if you were showing the video as you're reacting to it, because that would be copyright music. Bon Jovi there. Even saying his name will get me copyright strike, but Chris has too much of an inferiority complex or something. Like, this is a business you've chosen, you gotta deal with it, but he's gonna betray them at some point. But your therapist, Malfi, isn't as tight-lipped as you like. Like, she's talking to her whole family about it, so she might tell Cusimano. Only if the sit down goes well would that be maybe a favorite. Oh, there's a lot of copyright potential music going on here. So he gave all on the movie script, and now he's working on music chat. Chris has that kind of power, though. He can just do this on demand where he feels like, he's getting maybe ahead of himself a little bit. The original reparations before all this. But how does he know what Chris is implying, what the right thing is? Like, I guess it's obvious, but... You were 20 years too early. Now you get reparations for just simply being a certain race, apparently. Yeah, even Chris was saying he's sweet. Hesh is sweet. We haven't seen much of Hesh, mainly the taxing incident. This is the nightmare for patient client confidentiality. Just therapists talking at a table over dinner about their clients' private things that they've told them. Yeah, let's see the whack. A hit is a hit. That's the only thing she said in this whole conversation. She's proud of her tradition as much as everybody, but then again, I like how openly she started to talk about that, though. At first we weren't seeing what she was doing, but then she started talking to her family about it. But again, everybody already kind of knows, because copyright count 3, everybody already knows because his name's in the news. Soprano has been in the news, right? Other family members and associates and, Junior Soprano, they showed it on the news that, oh, he's the new boss, right? We saw that. Like, what the fuck? So everybody knows. Even though the Hesh meeting didn't go well, he's still, Defiler's kind of better, though. Visiting today is kind of dumb. This is like a musical episode. Sopranos the musical. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Loud shit. See, they take one plotline, but then they keep overdoing it a little bit. Like, this music element could have been part of it, but... Right, it could have been part of it, but it's kind of just too much that they're doing. This guy likes Chris. But no, Chris's heart has been with Hollywood the whole time. He wanted to write a script in episode 1. She doesn't like the way they're sort of trembling over these things, or all these stereotypes. Or she'll just leave. She doesn't like the way they're sort of making a mockery of her tradition or her, whatever, her culture. That was almost a jump scare moment. What the hell was that? And why could she hear it from there? Tony doesn't know. Or Chris, I'm sorry. You can hold a record, you can hold a cassette, you can hold a CD, a Bluetooth. This is like some ex sweet thing, though. Like, you're gonna get back with your ex because you're current boyfriend helps you with an old boyfriend. White privilege, haha. Russians are white, did you know? Just when he thinks he's out, they pull him back in, haha. She's very amused by Tony, but why you keep him on as a client, I don't know. Private, personal life stuff that you shouldn't be talking about in therapy session. Give the wrong message to your wife. Yeah, what was that shit? We don't know either as the audience. But nobody else heard it either, like in the... What, that's it? You saw my house? That's it? Like, oh, at least ask whether she likes it or not. Or not? I don't get the joke. Where's the punchline? Tony was sort of trying to snoop on that. Good line there, I like that. We don't just play, we win. +1 to whoever the fuck that character is. You look like you won a couple science fairs. I won all of them. A little Roach from The Mentalist, a good line. I'll keep referencing that because it's one of the only shows I've seen all the way through, and not even all the way through, but almost. So what is Hesh going to do here? It almost seems like he's not in the right, but then again, these reparations decades later are kind of hard to, manage. Like, maybe he's feeling bad about it a little bit, even though Chris is often out of line, though. I have to agree with him there. Hesh, like, he just says too much and he's too open, but he gets away with it somehow. The copyright count 4 in this scene, too. This reminds me of Boogie Nights for some reason, because they had that whole musical arc in that movie. Feel the heat, feel my heat, whatever, that Mark Wahlberg sings hysterically. It's actually not bad. I wonder who they got to actually sing this. Probably not this guy who's pretending to do it. lip sync somebody else who's pretending to sing something that you're not even actually singing. I don't know. So yeah, music and stocks is the whole emphasis of this thing here. She's not satisfied. What? He's gonna muscle him here. Well, like his voice isn't right somehow? Chris gets to talk shit here, though, because it is his money. In Denmark, so what's so special on that? Listen to some 3 Days Grace. That's all they have is a chorus. Chris does a little bit too much of this, but this one time where I don't mind it. He is the boss. I mean, it's his money. He invested in you. He gave you a chance. Oh shit, they're actually still gonna do it now? Or the wife's gonna fuck something up now. You can't place the order until you get the money. What are you talking about? They're doing it on credit, stock market on credit. You can't do that shit. Meadow's awesome sometimes. You're talking shit to the mom. She doesn't know shit. Just to say that openly. What do you know? But it took you this long to finally do it? No, Meadow's hilarious with that line. Just point blank, what do you know about the stock market? You dumb bitch. -1 Carmela clown who's not even worth rating. This episode wasn't too bad. Or the segueing into something. Why are you asking him that? Like you would know. How would I know? They're pushing it a little bit, dude. Relax. Relax. Chill out. Why do they keep bringing this shit up, dude? They're dancing around it too much. Always at a golf game. He's offended by the age thing, not the subject matter. Why the fuck are we talking about this shit? The same way that Tony was beating like a dead horse on the golf course about the... Just openly saying this to people who are going to gossip about it. So what? Showing off to you or what? So what's the big deal, dude? Is this a true story like in real life? He's so open about it though, like they keep prying, but that's what the golf course theme is. Copyright count 5. Whenever you're on the golf course, you beat it like a dead horse, whatever you're talking about. Whether it be, you know, talking about Junior's sex life and going down on the girl, or talking about, Tony being in the mob. This wasn't a particularly strong episode either, but it's probably like a C. Most of these have been kind of just... I want some overarching narrative. Like, where is the overall narrative? Aside from just the characters and the character development. Like, where is the Junior back and forth conflict? You've had some arguments, but it's not like we're going to war. Let's go to war next episode and just fucking get into some shit, dude. There's nothing big happening. It's just all random shit. Hesh with the music, this Chris with the music, the wife at the stock market. It's all just like little subplots. This is like a, you know, reality TV Modern Family type thing. He's gonna be mad at Chris, Hesh. Role-playing as a cat, that's the best you can come up with? Oh, that baited me. I thought that's what they meant. Double meaning. A hit was a hit. What, is she a therapist or an actual doctor? How did she know that so well? Calling it a crew even at that age? And he would always refer to himself in the third person. Jimmy's hanging out with the big crew. Does he feel like that now because they're picking on him for being in the mob? Like they only want to hang out with you because they want to hear your mob stories? This guy's way too sensitive to be. Yeah, okay, that's a good analogy at least, though. I like that. That was good writing. But he wasn't the one initiating it, was he? I mean, everybody was kind of joining in. I think the other guy was starting it, but so you're still making fun of him there? Is that a joke or is that actually what happened? So you're still laughing to this day. The laughs never ended with Jimmy. Jimmy wants the money, says Jimmy. That'd be a hard... Yeah, imagine that guy from Seinfeld trying to rob somebody. The one instance where Junior's a compliment because you're calling him the boss. This might be an ongoing conflict. Oh shit, Hesh knows his shit. Oh shit, Hesh has stuff up his sleeve, dude. Don't fuck with him. He's really blowing money like crazy here. Chris is doing a little bit too much here, but... So We got all these little subplot lines going on, nothing really major, interesting. But maybe I'll predict Chris is actually going to betray Tony and do something stupid later on in the story, and maybe redeem himself, or maybe just actually get killed. Because he's too much of a hothead. Like, these kind of people never last. Hesh is an expert. Dude, he owns everything. Maybe you just want it to be wishful thinking. Your opinion doesn't matter for shit. Like what? We can use that. Now that's what I call an asset. She's got assets, am I right? I mean, hey, that's part of the business. But you don't have any talent. You don't have any talent. It's the fucking guy who has talent anyway. So how could that be? You don't. I'm saying it. Fuck you, bitch. What have you done? What have you done, dude? Maybe that's partly true, but I mean, relax, dude. He was helping you out. Most of the time, he's screaming his head off. Oh, come on, don't break up over this, though. Fuck off. What is this about, dude? He was financing it. He was helping you out. Why? Because I don't think you have talent, or I'm trying to restrict your horizons. Okay, go do it then. Go become a fucking Madonna. Did something bad happen with the stock now, maybe? I want to see a fight. Give me something. It reminds me of my mother. Another line from the La Roche. This was an okay episode, but again, it's getting caught up too much in the minutia of everyday things. You need a good, strong plot. Like, what is the primary conflict? We're having a gang war. We're having something. You could arrange that. That was a passive-aggressive way to say now he's going to be curious and try to open it. but it's like a passive-aggressive way to, keep him out for some reason, but, like he's not genuinely that there's no new members. Or this answers what the yelling was. What is he doing? Just working out? It would be that loud that you could hear it next door? So he wasn't doing anything wrong. He was actually just working out. What the fuck? Is that supposed to be the funny twist moment? What is this, the Twilight Zone? The yelling man was actually just Tony. How could he be that fucking loud that you can hear it outside in the bathroom of another building? And how could nobody else have noticed it then? Oh, maybe the window's open, but even then, the window would have to be open on both sides. Chris is turning into a total nutcase clown, though. What is his deal, bro? Let me guess, he's going to be in a bad mood, just like every other scene we see him in. Oh, he's rubbing it in, dude. Hesh is kind of cool. Hesh gets a +1 for this episode, just, he's a cool, calm, collected dude. He knows his shit. We need a whole Hesh arc here. Could be a bomb. They'll wonder, they'll go through all the different phases of something, and then they'll eventually open it, right? The 7 steps of grief with a hidden box. Like, first you wonder, then you speculate, then you come up with theories, then you worry, then you say maybe we should give it back, maybe we should get rid of it, maybe we should open it, maybe we should check it. Then you do, then you try to panic and seal it up back together, then you get clowned by the fact that it's not even really anything at all. Like, all these different dynamics. So that's about a C episode as well. So Chris breaks up with his girlfriend over something really stupid. So I'll just leave that at a neutral. Maybe the girlfriend almost gets a -1, but I don't even, some of these characters I don't even care to rank. Nobody major changed. We don't see Junior at all. See, this is how Junior should be. He's not even there. He's in the background. He's the boss. So, like, we'll get to him when we get to him, right? And there could be some kind of rivalry or conflict going on, but I need an overarching storyline. Like, I'm just missing it. What is the overarching storyline? Just the fact that, oh, he's in the mob. Like, we get it, but, like, what else? What is something of substance? I'm almost missing those little gimmicky plot lines that they would throw at you, like, find the teacher's car, or try to torture the guy till he gets a divorce. Like, at least that's like a subplot of something that's happening within the mob. So I guess the subplot now is the music thing. The music thing, because of, whatever, just Hesh and stuff like that was kind of okay. And you know how much Tony likes Hesh. And so now you get to, you have Tony and Hesh, and you have, what else? Chris and the girl and the music guy. And he thinks the music guy's into her because of that. Which, I mean, hey, maybe that's partly true, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Like, as long as you're not actually doing something with him, but it's like, okay, if he wants to help you out because he thinks you're attractive, like, fuck it, How can you, but don't actually fuck it, but I mean, if that's all it takes to get what you want, then so be it. There was something somewhere along the line that I was going to talk about. I can't remember what it was now. So he's beating the shit out of the guy and the thing. She's doing the stocks. They're asking him all these probing questions about... that Tony's making fun of the kid, the Jimmy kid, and all this kind of stuff, so he's feeling like that, like he's being made fun of almost, so he's playing with that idea, I guess. I mean, ultimately, you gotta remember, it's trying to be a comedy, but there are serious moments and potentials, and I feel like they keep blowing them. Like, every episode I should come up with, like, what would I have done instead? And the best one was episode 5, which was still a good episode, but the way they introduce and set up that character is so good that either he should have lived on and to fight another day and he comes back to haunt you, or you have to beat him in a game theory way that you actually earn, which he didn't do at all, Tony. He just kind of clowned around and whatever happened. Right, he actually got caught out and outside the room and he would have died. Meadow had a kind of a funny moment there. Maybe it's not really a +1 worthy thing, but it's just kind of funny how she was questioning, what do you know about stocks? So does that mean the wife did the stocks behind Tony's back? Like, because she wouldn't mention it, like, oh, you're in a good mood, and now they're going to fuck up, and then they're gonna have some problem because of that. Like, you should at least let them know. Let him know what you're doing and don't overdo it. That's how you should treat stocks. Like, do it with extra money that you can afford to lose. Kind of like gambling at the casino, even though it's not like that at all. But, like, don't do it like, oh, if this doesn't work out, I'm going to be broke, or I need this to work out and to make me rich. Just do it like, okay, you have a little extra $1,000 laying around. Use that 1,000, turn it into 5,000 if you can over years. It's not really how it works either. It's slow, but yeah, she didn't like the whole conversation around the dinner table with the family. What else happened here? Yeah, I mean, again, these episodes are getting bogged down into a routine of just stuff happening that isn't particularly noteworthy in and of itself. The material isn't particularly strong. Like, there's a couple good moments, but it's a character interest story more than it is anything else. What do you know about the stock market? That is a hilarious delivery and just line in general for her to just say it right to her fucking face because she's so right about it. Fuck Carmela, she's a dumb bitch. Doesn't do shit, just fucking complains. Like, what has she done that's, like, actually good or interesting? Like, I don't know. She had that one moment that was kind of good, passive-aggressive, you know, saying, oh, your therapist called after I said the spend the night, haha. So you have this dude with the music records and all that back and forth, so that could be an ongoing conflict. We need some of those things, right? I like these sort of hanging storylines. The wife Carmela seems to have forgotten or forgiven about the whole cheating thing, that she was being all passive-aggressive towards Tony about that, and then the conflict with what other, like Chris selling the girl the speed. Chris is just out of control in a way that's not even like fun anymore. I respected him at the beginning, but he's just total clown mode. And now he broke up with the girlfriend, so now he's going to do wild stuff because of that. But most of the good stuff that Chris is doing, again, must be behind the scenes, because most of what he does on screen is just like causing trouble and speaking out and all this kind of shit. Right? So Hesh didn't like how he spoke out there. There was like one moment that stood out that I was going to say something and then I forgot, but you know, you got that whole crazy golf course thing, you got the whole weirdness with the ex, like, oh, I'm going to help my ex, and then, you know, Chris is kind of in the right, at least in that situation, and then, yeah, but for some reason it evokes Boogie Nights a little bit. What else? I mean, it wasn't bad, but it's another one of those average, like, C-caliber episodes.